What's the one thing that people underestimate about the OnlyFans economy?
Yeah, so the average income is a month on OnlyFans. 99% of people that sign up. So let me go back a little bit.
What are some areas, ideas, spaces within niches within this industry?
Especially in 2025, it's not enough just to be a cute girl, make the decision to start an OnlyFans. It is, I don't want to say it's oversaturated, but there's certainly more competition.
So what are the biggest challenges that you face just working in this space and working with people in this space?
Only about 30% of applications are accepted. They are extremely strict on verification.
What is the business of OnlyFans?
OnlyFans has become so...
Hey guys, welcome back to Funds and Founders. We have Lucy on today. Lucy's been in the corporate world, ventured into OnlyFans and the creator space, and now started her own marketing and PR agency to help other OnlyFans creators. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Wanted to start off with something a little controversial. What's the one thing that people underestimate about the OnlyFans economy? And if you had to highlight one or two things about just that space, that portion of the creator space, what would you say people very grossly misunderstand?
I think there's a huge misconception that all you need to be successful on OnlyFans is to be a hot girl. And if you're pretty or you've got big boobs or you've already got an existing audience, that is going to automatically equate to being successful on OnlyFans. And it's just not the case, especially in 2025. It's not enough just to be a cute girl, make the decision to start an OnlyFans. It is, I don't want to say it's oversaturated, but there's certainly more competition than there was back in 2019. So what used to work back then does not work anymore because people are more aware. They know that they're being sold to. They know that this girl's just trying to promote her website. To start an OnlyFans in this day and age, you do need a plan, you do need strategy. The most success we're seeing is those creators who are really niching down and they're like, okay, I'm going to be known for this area. And they've got the planning and the strategy behind it. It's not just something they're doing as a hobby, just posting bikini pics just because. Unless you have an existing audience, like you're on reality TV or you're a celebrity, it's not enough just to be hot anymore. You need to come at it with a business mindset and strategy.
We were chatting the other day, and you mentioned an interesting stat. I think last year or maybe the year before, OnlyFans reported 6 billion in revenue, in top line revenue. But I think you were telling me the average creator makes X. What was the monthly income for an average creator on OnlyFans?
Yeah, so the average income is $300 a month on OnlyFans. 99% of people that sign up. So let me go back a little bit. If you want to join OnlyFans as a creator, only about 30% of applications are accepted. They are extremely strict on verification, which is a very good thing. You don't want people trying to get in underage or set up fake profiles.
Yeah.
They won't let AI models on or anything. So the verification rules are a good thing. However, they even exclude just normal people trying to get on. I know girls who have had to take off their fake eyelashes and have them removed so they can verify with their ID. It's very hard to get on in the first place. If you manage to get verified and get onto the website, only a very, very small percentage, I would say, the top 1% of people are going to be making enough to do it full time. 99% of people either give up before it's successful or they're not executing it right.
Before we dive into the rest of the episode, I have this joke where retention on YouTube is 3 minutes. So I ask every guest to plug themselves, just do a quick, hey, here's what I'm working on, here's where you can reach out, and then we'll plug you again at the end, but just let the audience know sort of who you are, what you're working on, and how to best reach you.
Great. Best way to reach me and see what I'm up to is Instagram. Our handle is @millionbillionmedia_, or find me on LinkedIn. My handle on LinkedIn is Lucy Banks MBM, or if you just search Lucy Banks, I'm sure I'll pop up.
And we'll link everything for you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is where I live at the moment these days, above any other social media channel, which I never saw myself doing, but I'm just having a really good time there.
And just quickly cover, what does Million Billion Media do? What are you focused on? How are you trying to do things differently?
So, Million Billion Media, and you can see I light up whenever I talk about it because I get so excited. We are a marketing and PR agency that focuses on OnlyFans creators, adult industry businesses, sex tech startup. Basically, if it's a little bit spicy, or if it's something
Nice.
that you're not sure you're going to get another marketing agency to work with you, then we're those people. I love working with businesses and creators that are a little bit outside the box, whether that's OnlyFans or something else. And our priority is just to align these businesses with other mainstream businesses and get them the limelight and the audience that they deserve. One of our tagline is that we will not be told that our clients are any less serious than mainstream businesses.
I really like that because we were chatting about this, and I feel like it is so much harder to build a business in this space, right? Even if you're a creator in this space, you are building a business and a brand, and you're finding ways to monetize. And there's everything from like marketing to like how do I put my content out there, systems. Like it is a business, even if someone looks at it and is like, oh, you're just making content. At the end of the day, being a creator has become a pretty big business. Off the top of your head, what are the biggest challenges of supporting this space and sort of being in this space? And I know we talked briefly about payments just being a challenge, right? Because there's no Stripe for adult and sex tech, and there's no Stripe, and there's no I'm trying to think of an analogy of like a different company that like Rippling or whatever for this industry. So what are the biggest challenges that you face just working in this space and working with people in this space?
The biggest challenge across all the different, I guess, like categories, all the different verticals of the adult industry and the sex world is censorship. So whether that's showing up on Instagram and having your account removed, your TikTok, and yes, there's guidelines, but a lot of the time the creators are finding their accounts are deleted even when they are strictly abiding by the guidelines. So you are removed and deplatformed without any rhyme or reason. And unfortunately, that it's just a part of the territory. So censorship in terms of social media, but also in terms of payment, like you mentioned, you can have your bank account closed at any point. I work with a client who, when she applied to get a housing loan, she was knocked back because she was an OnlyFans creator. I personally have had my own experience with that when I've gone to get lending to buy a property. My broker had to be a bit creative with how he presented it because nobody would lend to me
Because you don't
because,
have traditional income, you don't have
yeah,
a
the sex
monthly paycheck
industry is
coming in.
looked at
That's yeah,
it's looked at as a higher risk, which I would argue it's probably a lower risk than any other business. It's been
100%.
around forever. It's the one
It's
thing that
non-seasonal.
exactly when there's COVID and economic turmoil, the sex work industry is the one I would argue, maybe not the one, also gambling, but there's only a very few businesses that
Yeah.
tend to thrive when everybody else is going down. Censorship is also, I don't think, again, this is quite a unknown challenge of being in this industry. Even things like email platforms. So I've been removed from Mailchimp, and I have a PR agency, so I'm not even doing sex work, but we've been removed from Mailchimp. Just trying to exist is so difficult and so frustrating when other businesses have all these like software programs available
Tools
to
and
them and
like
all
yeah.
these resources and infrastructure, whereas in the adult industry we either have to build our own or navigate that in a different way.
I like that. And I think we were talking about this, that I think it is just a traditionally underserved space because of the connotations associated with, oh, I'm building for OnlyFans or I'm building for this kind of startup. I feel like it's just the public perception. And then when you go tell, like, if someone asks you, what do you do? Not everyone wants to say, hey, I'm servicing OnlyFans creators by building the payment for this space or whatever, right? And I think that's also partly why people don't innovate, is also just like lack of understanding along with the associated like negative media, negative PR with this space.
Yeah, you don't even have to be on the front line in this industry to experience the stigma. So people who work in the tech side of things, if you're creating, like you said, a payment platform, or even just like off the top of my head, if you're creating like apparel or something for OnlyFans
Yeah.
creators, like you're kind of all tarred with the same brush, and it's something that particularly for men, I think if you're, for instance, building something, techie in the adult space, you're automatically like, no, like, he shouldn't be doing that, or he's creepy, or why is he doing that? And it's like, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's just such an opportunity. And I think it's really brave for people to be innovative and to step into this space when they know that there's going to be that stigma, but
Yeah.
their business mind is stronger than them caring about what people think.
Yeah. I think I was talking with my friend who's in the payment space that Stripe is who builds for OnlyFans right now. If they're doing 6 billion a year, Stripe is going to bill for them because when they signed up to Stripe, I think, and again, someone fact check me. I haven't looked this up myself. It's just all chatting with someone in the space. But when they signed up, they were not an adult site. They were just like a paywall creator site. So Stripe allowed them through, and then they're doing 6 billion a year. Now Stripe is not going to tell them to like move off the platform because they're losing 6 billion of volume. But on the flip side, it seems a little hypocritical because if someone else is starting in this space, you're now not going to be allowed to do Stripe. I think you mentioned that Stripe's blocked your accounts a couple times.
It's something that I see other businesses start, and they get to the point where they're ready to launch. They've got their MVP, and one of my first questions is, "What's your payment processor?" And they all say Stripe, and I'll come back and I'll say, "You need to have a plan B." And then they're like, "No, no, no, there's nothing in Stripe that says we can't do it." And I'm just going to sit back and be like, "I'm telling you, you need a plan B. I know there's nothing in the
Yeah.
Stripe terms and conditions that say you can't. You will be removed at some point,
Yeah.
and it always happens."
I have a friend who does import export from India, and he makes a bunch of different payment accounts because at any point in time, any one of these people could be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna block your account," and that locks up 10 or 20 grand of like liquid cash, and so he constantly like switches which payment portal he uses, but it's such a pain. But it's
Yeah.
his hack to like make sure he doesn't get caught up in like a 6 month like, "Hey, give me my cash back," right?
But imagine if he didn't have to spend the time, energy, and I'm sure each of those platforms are charging him fees. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
that's just the price of him doing business. But
yeah.
how is there not a better alternative in 2025? You know?
And I think there probably is. They're just not big enough. They don't have the same marketing spend, so they're much harder to find. It's like a I know you, you know them, they know someone who's using it, so they're like, "Oh yeah, let me go use that because they told me," right? So I think it's one of those things as well that it's just really hard to build in this space.
You're right. And then there's the secondary issue of, so even if you do have a product that is a quality alternative, so hypothetically, let's just speak about platforms still. You create a Stripe alternative that does allow adult content. How do you then promote it? Like, yes, there's word of mouth, but it's not like you can go and do paid ads because it's adult
Yeah.
industry. Or,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like I mentioned before, trying to grow on social media, you're then subject to all that censorship. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to, I don't know, I was talking to someone who's maybe in the cannabis space and they're like, "Oh, it's really difficult for us to run paid ads. You got to be really smart with," and there are like hacks around it, but again, they're hacks, right? Like if you figure something out, you can't just go pour $100,000 into ads because you're gonna get blocked on volume or whatever. There's like so many ifs and buts, but I do agree. Yeah, it's a tough space to build in.
There's a huge amount of alignment between the adult industry and the cannabis industry. They're both areas where there's a huge amount of growth, especially at the moment. However, it seems to be that societal values aren't at that stage yet where there can be acceptable businesses. I do think it's getting there. In both areas, the stigma is starting to erode, but they're probably, I would say, in my personal opinion, at the same space in terms of acceptance.
In terms of, and we can probably, let me ask that first. So, if you had to think about like opportunity, right? So we talked about a couple ideas here in the adult industry space. If a young entrepreneur listening to this wants to build in this space, what are some areas or ideas or spaces within niches within this industry that you would send someone to look into to build some sort of tech or startup or sex tech startup in?
I would be looking at businesses that have thrived in the normal world, in the mainstream world, and then have a look at, okay, so something like social media scheduling. I think we mentioned this the other day, like
Yeah.
Planoly or Metricool or something like that. Okay, how can that be applied to the adult industry? How can you replicate that in a way where it's as a safe space for the adult industry and sex tech businesses to grow and be supported? The big companies, even I know we mentioned payment platforms, but what about banks and lending? Why is there not like a bank that is, I mean, again, they're probably out there, they're just small, cater for the adult industry because there's so much money. But even if you are a product based business in this area, say you're importing sex toys, you can't go and get a loan for that. So why is
Yeah.
there not something that's servicing that area? It's one of the only areas that are so untapped. But have a look at what's working in the other world, in business in general, and then reinvent it to be friendly to the adult industry, and not only friendly but supportive.
So let's just double click into that idea real quick. So let's take social media scheduling, for example, right? What are the challenges in this space and why will existing tools not work for this industry?
Posting on social media when, so let's again look at two different, there's a business that's promoting water bottles, selling water bottles, custom water bottles, and then there's someone who's trying to grow on OnlyFans promoting water bottles, and you're posting a photo of a girl in a bikini holding a water bottle. Somehow that is safe. Whereas if you're posting a photo of a girl in a bikini and she's holding a water bottle, but you're promoting OnlyFans, that seems to be taken down. So there's guidelines that you can abide by, yes, and the girls are smart. They're not trying to breach guidelines because they don't
Yeah,
want their
yeah.
accounts taken down. But what's acceptable for other people isn't acceptable for people who are promoting adult content.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, so there needs to be something that can sort of, they can still post their content, but it keeps them safe. It flags like, oh, hey, this potentially
Makes
could
sense.
be, yeah, you could be shadow banned, or why don't you tweak it like this, or don't put that caption, put this caption. Sort of like a gateway you have to pass through to make sure your content's safe. Um,
Just to highlight what you were mentioning the other day, you're mentioning that a lot of these existing social media tools are not viable because they preemptively block your account or stop you from syndicating because they're afraid of getting their licenses banned. And so they just preemptively say, oh, hey, this is gonna like breach like we don't want to do stuff for your account because we think it's gonna breach. Is that's roughly what we talked about the other day, right?
That's right. And it's just too easy for them to come back and say, like, unfortunately, your account doesn't abide by our guidelines, or it's not in alignment with what we do. Whether that's the content that's posting, whether that's the fact that there's an OnlyFans link, or like a link tree that goes to an OnlyFans, I'm not sure how they pick it up. But it's frustrating because you go to the of uploading all your content, you sign up, you have everything ready to go, you've got your workflows built, and then it's only a matter of days before it's taken down again. So a lot of those platforms don't have an audience of OnlyFans creators or adult industry because why do they go to the effort? Whereas if you could build something that openly says, hey, this is safe for you, you can build and we're not going to remove you, then that's something that there's space and potential to grow.
Makes sense. So, continuing thought with the idea, I'm an entrepreneur. I go build this. I do the smart AI help you tailor your content to not get banned. What is my go to market approach, right? Like, I have this product live. It's working. I want to now go get creators to sign up and use this. What do you recommend this entrepreneur, hypothetical entrepreneur? How do they approach the go to market for targeting this customer base? Because we said paid ads is hard. And the reason I want your opinion on this is if you want to start a newsletter, you can go run Facebook ads and maybe get some subscribers and see if the idea is working or not. So how does someone validate, test, and acquire customers for this space if I can't run ads, if I can't do traditional marketing and PR, and I can't blast on social media, hey, OnlyFans people, come sign up here. Like what are my options?
That is a really good question, and it's something that a lot of people struggle with. So they have, let's say, a viable product, they're ready to go to market, and there's actually a very, very high barrier to entry in this industry, especially for somebody who doesn't have experience within the adult industry itself. And I hope this doesn't come across as disrespectful because I don't mean it to be. I don't make the rules. I just see what it's like, honestly, day in, day out, of people that have these great products. They message OnlyFans girls. OnlyFans girls aren't going to open your message. If you inbox them, they're not going to be interested. If you subscribe to their OnlyFans and try to send them a business proposition, they're going to get annoyed because that's not what they're there for. So you need to have some sort of plug, some sort of connection that is going to be able to seed out and sort of, either get like beta testers or whatever stage
Yeah.
you're at. In my experience, that the best, I guess, avenue to sort of do it is, say, in that instance, let's just keep using this example of a social media scheduler. So, who's your audience going to be? Perhaps social media agencies that work in the OnlyFans space, or even OnlyFans management agencies who are running social media for these girls. You need to be contacting them, and then they will speak to the creators. You
Nice.
need to sort of have that middleman, that bridge, because OnlyFans creators are honestly the big creators. Every day in, day out, they're inundated with opportunities and people trying to make money from them, and it gets to a stage where they just stop. And with million billion media, a lot of the time the girls, if they're approached by someone, they just say, speak to my publicist, speak to my manager, and we sort of act as gatekeepers
Yeah.
between the businesses and the creators. Yes, there is some really good opportunities, but a lot of the time it's just people wanting to exploit and take advantage of the girls.
Makes
And
sense.
yeah, so being able to have
What's
someone that
the
has trust in the industry is really key to getting in there.
What's the right incentive structure to, so you sort of highlighted the kind of person to reach out to, these agencies, PR, marketing, and we don't need to get into how to find them because there's probably a bunch of ways to do that. But once I do get a list of these people, get in touch with them, what's the right incentive structure to have them pitch it? Because the way I see this is, like, if I reach out to you, you have no incentive to go pitch my product to the people you're working with. So how do I think about that incentive structure for you so that you are then also incentivized to go ahead and have your
Yeah.
creators use this?
Great question. I think it's really similar to any other business. Even if I think it's a great product, even if I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to change the world, I love it, I'm on board, there still needs to be some sort of incentive, especially if I'm going to put my name to it and I'm going to say, hey, Sarah, you should go sign up to this. There needs to be some sort of like what am I getting out of it? So whether that's it looks like some kind of rev share or some kind of kickback or upfront fee. The bottleneck that can sometimes occur is that people will have these opportunities, or they want the girls to promote something, but you need to realize that they're OnlyFans creators, so they're not going to put up an Instagram story for $50 when they can go on OnlyFans and make $500 an hour. So that's why I think like rev share can be
Makes
a better
sense.
option. Yeah, because the one-off payments, it's just not worth them diluting their brand to
Makes
promote a
sense.
product for such a small amount.
In terms of getting in touch with these agencies and PR people or just publicists or managers, are there certain forums that it's easier to get in touch with these? Is it Instagram? Is it email? Is it do the research and find the actual marketing agency and go talk to them? Because my understanding is not everyone openly writes on LinkedIn, hey, I run a marketing agency for OnlyFans creators, right? It's sort of more dumbed down. You gotta like click into like 5 pages on their
Yeah.
website to know that, oh, hey, you're an OnlyFans, just a marketing agency.
Yeah. So email, I would say, is always the best way. Failing that, Instagram. Most agencies are consistently on social media and they're constantly looking
Makes
for
sense.
opportunities and emails like this. Yeah. Whereas if you email a creator, even I work with creators, even I have trouble contacting them. And these are people who are assigned to me because they're busy, they're not
Yeah, there are
interested in the
people who are
emails. Like,
paying you, so
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I have people that are paying monthly retainers, and I'm sure the girls will listen to this and they'll be like, Lucy's talking about me, and I have to stalk them. I'm like, babe, you've got an interview, like, you've got to do this. So even I have a hard time contacting them. So that's why agencies like mine exist, because I'm constantly on the ball, on the radar. I check my inbox, I check my spam consistently to find these opportunities, and then I pass them on to the girls. LinkedIn, probably, I think I'm kind of the only one who really leverages LinkedIn. Email is the best, if not Instagram or Twitter.
Makes thinking about feedback from creators and users. Well, maybe depending on how big the creator is, they may not be scheduling their own social media, but again, just drawing analogies, working on this idea. I've got the customer, I've got the plan. I'm now getting people to use it. What's the right way to get feedback from the creators and or managers to then action and make the product better, right? Because The analogy for me on the tech side is I just have calls with my customers or I have some in-app surveys and there's a bunch of like metrics and data and funnels I can create to sort of understand what's working, not working. But on the creator side, what's the best way to get them in a room for 5, 10 minutes to get actionable feedback so they don't just churn and like kill the product or whatever?
Yeah. I think similar to what I said before, if you're offering some kind of fair rev share, even if it's just like a small percentage, and sort of, show them that their feedback is going to be beneficial to not only the product but themselves as
Makes
well
sense.
as it rolls out. So, and I think that's, not exclusive to the industry. I think this business in
Yeah.
general, offering
Yeah.
somebody some kind of incentive is going to help when they've got skin in the game. You're going to have like deeper levels of feedback, not only like for 10 minutes in a room, but also as the product goes on and develops, they're going to come back to you and be like, hey, I spoke to Samantha and she said this, or I thought of that. Like having that almost like ambassadors or advocate long term, because they're getting 0.5% of all revenue that comes through.
Quickly switching gears to sort of your journey and how you entered this space, what made you go from corporate world to starting an OnlyFans? What was that shift? What was that income shift? What was the just mentality shift of going from a 9 to 5 to being your own creator?
So I started in banking at 17, very, very young. And I did that for 10 years. Not consistently. I did sort of like jump off and do a couple of other things here and there. I had kids, came back, but from starting at 17 and then working for 10 years, and I had various roles, and I loved the dynamic of it. I loved the challenge. I loved the rush. And towards the end of my banking career, I was in corporate banking, which I loved. I had a portfolio of business clients. Then people would come in and be like, okay, I've got this business idea. And then we'd go over their business plans, their projections. And I loved that side of it. But then there was this other side where the bank was like, targets, 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 money, money, money. There's a few instances I remember thinking, I'm like, this is really starting to grind on my ethics. So, my boss would be like, this person's been pre-approved for a car, $100,000. And I'm like, but I know they can't afford to repay that. And they're like, don't care. Go call them and tell them and offer it to them. And it just, because I really cared about these businesses. And I'm like, I know if I keep selling them stuff, they trust me, but I know they
Because
can't
you have
repay
the
it.
relationship, the bank doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a situation where it got really bad. I had this couple in their 80s, and they had all these mortgages in their 80s, and they couldn't afford to repay. They were trying to fix their houses to sell them. And I was like, who on earth gave these people all this money, all this debt that they're not working? They're so old. And I was on the phone to the husband and I could hear his voice breaking like he was going to cry. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. This is actually, it feels evil. But I knew that I loved the business side of things. And I had a girlfriend at the time doing this thing called OnlyFans. Now, for me to pivot into OnlyFans was so wild. Like I got married really young. I come from a religious family. I'd never been to a strip club or anything like that. So it was a very, very hard pivot. But when you sort of like break it down and look at it, it was never like the content or the nudity or the explicit side of things that got me into it. I just remember seeing it and I was like, this is that the business opportunity here is huge. And when I first started, I didn't have my face in it. I was only like showing a little bit. And then, gradually as I was comfortable, the goalpost changed and I was doing more
Yeah.
and more. But it was always at a stage I was comfortable with, and I always priced accordingly. In the end, I ended up making over $1 million on OnlyFans, which, as someone, I don't want to sound like I'm being negative or anything. I'm just being realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not like a skinny little 19-year-old. I am a mum in my 30s, and I was still able to make $1 million on OnlyFans. Was that to do with the way I looked? No, I don't think so. I think it was because I knew what I looked like. I knew what my angle was. I knew what my story was. And I doubled down on that using my background from business banking. I had a business plan and I had projections, which is, I think people think about OnlyFans, they're like, why would she do that? But it's that planning that set me up for success. I used to have people ask me, when people came to me at the bank, all these businesses, what was the difference between a business that was successful and a business that failed? And my answer was always the businesses that put the most planning in place were the ones that were the most successful. And that is that's the same for anything. That's still true today, whether you're starting a landscaping business or you're an OnlyFans creator.
And roughly, I think you were making like 120K in the corporate banking,
Yeah.
and you did OnlyFans for I think 4 years, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
roughly 1 million over 4 years.
Yeah.
Again, for anyone listening, we might use that for a clickbait title, but
Yeah.
outside of that, this is all pre-tax money, right? So I don't know
Yeah.
what the tax rates in Australia are, but I just want to caveat that saying that it sounds like a lot, but once you cut out the time, the energy, all the equipment you may need, all the tech, and pre-tax, it doesn't come out to be like an absurd amount, but it's still on the higher side of an average OnlyFans creator.
Yeah, it was, and to be honest, I was never operating at 100% intentionally. So I had young kids, and that was my priority. I just wanted to make enough so I could be around and take them to school and do all of those things.
Nice.
So if I didn't have that, I guess that responsibility, or I didn't have that, that commitment, I honestly, and I could have made $4 million easily, but I didn't want to be doing working around the clock. It was really important to me that I wanted to do OnlyFans when I wasn't spending time with my kids, not fully commit to it. So I mean, the potential was there, but I wasn't at a stage in my life where I wanted to hustle that bad. To be fair, I think like, my hustle was probably still pretty good, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
100%.
definitely could have done more. But intentionally, it wasn't my priority. My kids were, and then this came second.
This quick random side story. When I was in Austin, I was running a Ethereum mining rig at my place and I tripped one of the fuses. So I called the electrician over the weekend and I was like, "What other stuff are you seeing today?" He said there was one guy who had rented a place in that building just to run a Minecraft server. So he had like 7 gaming rigs, but all hooked into like 2 PowerPoints, which is the same fuse. And so he's like, he would just keep tripping it because he had these guys just maintaining a Minecraft map. And the other was a girl who was some sort of adult creator or adult cam girl. And she had all these LEDs set up all on one plug. And so every time she would turn her rig up, it would just short the
Just
fuse.
short,
And he's like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I'm over there like every 4 or 5 days because she didn't understand the fact that apartment lines are only 12 or 15 amperes. So you can't put heavy LEDs
yeah,
all on one." And so this just really, that was the first time I was like, oh, like this is actually something people do. This was like 5 6 years
yeah.
ago, but still I was just like, oh, this is interesting. Like it was just a realization that, oh, people are like hustling very different ways, just like above me or like around me or like just like down the hallway, right? So that was interesting.
I always say to people, I get this feedback a lot. People are like, "Oh, I've never met an OnlyFans creator before." I'm like, "You have, you just don't know it, or you know
Yeah,
someone who
100%.
knows
Yeah, yeah.
someone." It's in Australia. I think it's 1 in 200 people. I put it up on my Instagram the other day. I'll have to double check the actual numbers, but I think it's 1 in 200 people are OnlyFans creators. 1 in 200 adults. That is huge. There's not even 1 in 200 people who are, plumbers or something. So not necessarily successful ones, but yeah, it's so much more prevalent than people think.
Quickly wanted to touch upon what is the business of OnlyFans, right? So like as an OnlyFans creator, how much of your income is subscriber income versus tips or chats? And I don't even know what the other monetization angles are here. So quickly break down I'm just very curious. I don't know if the audience wants to hear this, but I'm just very curious on like what is that business model and how do you approach it?
No, so it's really interesting from a business perspective. So there's a subscription fee, right? So you subscribe to someone's OnlyFans, that might cost you, between $5 and $50, depending on the creator. That I think people assume that that's how people make money, but it's not. There's an analogy that I've heard that it's like when you go to a strip club, you pay an entry fee, but then when you get inside, that's when you splash cash on lap dances or
Yeah.
whatever. And OnlyFans works in a really similar way. So you pay the subscription, but then if you want full length videos, or you want custom videos, or you want like one-on-one talking, so you can like send videos back and forth in real time, or live video chat. That's where the bulk of your money is made. You might make, just drawing on my own experience. So there were some months where I'd make maybe $4,000 in subscriptions, but I'd make $50,000 in selling messages and the actual
Nice.
content on there. So it's only a very small portion. There's so many different avenues, and this is what I love about it. So you can sell, like used clothing. You can sell. I used to sell my Snapchat. If you wanted my Snapchat, it would be $50. Did I ever post on my Snapchat? No, but people liked knowing that they had me on there, even though I never used it. There's a lot
I
of
don't even
other,
know how that works. You
yeah,
sell it when you say sell your Snapchat, are they just buying to get your handle?
yeah,
And like there's no transaction happening on Snapchat. It's
no,
just you send them a handle so that when you post, they have added you and you can see them because it's
yeah.
not searchable, right? Like you can't just go and search.
That's right.
Okay,
That's all it is.
interesting.
Every now and then I'd post on it,
Sounds
but
like I mean, not to sound like
it's okay.
rude, but sounds like a Ponzi scheme in terms of like
Yeah,
a bait and switch, which I mean, it's probably not, but like
yeah. No,
just
to
based
be
off
fair,
what
like
you're
I was
saying.
always like, I hardly ever use it, but here's my Snapchat if you want it. So for me, because I wasn't doing OnlyFans just for some dollars here or there. That was my
Yeah.
career at the time, so I never wanted to. And these are people on the other side of it, so I never wanted to do the wrong thing. So I was like, I'm probably never going to post it. Every now and
Yeah.
then I would, but you can't post on your story on Snapchat anything explicit anyway. So, but because people had that relationship with me, they were happy to pay $50
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that I was in their phone on Snapchat. Um, there's other creators that you can pay $1,000 to get their personal phone number, but it's just a number on another phone that they never use. But and they're open with that, they're clear to that. But subscribers are still happy to pay it because they want to know that they have their number. So that's OnlyFans just in a platform itself. But
Quick question.
yeah,
How much does OnlyFans support versus how much of it is you guys setting stuff up and like then sort of bridging the gap yourself?
sorry, can you say it again? It cut out for a bit.
How much of it is OnlyFans enabled? So like if you go to Shopify, you can add an app and do this, and you can add a plugin that does emails, and you can add a plugin that does text, right?
Right.
So if I'm creating on OnlyFans, how much of all of these extra monetizable schemes does OnlyFans support versus how much of it is you go and set up this thing on another platform and then you're just like chatting them and having them pay and like sending them the link once they pay? Does
You
that
know,
make sense what I'm asking?
yes, yeah. I do a lot of podcasts and interviews, and you're the first person to ever ask me that. And it is actually a really good question. So OnlyFans supports none of it. Absolutely none of it.
Okay.
There's no plugins. There's no. They're quite strict on what you're actually allowed to say in there. So I couldn't say to a subscriber, "Hey, instead of paying me on OnlyFans, can you send it to me on PayPal?" Nope, done. I'm
Yeah,
banned.
yeah.
So all these things like Snapchat, I would then go set up and promote it back and forth in
So it would
messages.
be just something they can buy, right? Like I'm assuming there's like packages you can set up of like,
No, no.
oh,
So
okay.
it would just be between like one-on-one conversation, or I could send a message out and lock it and say, "Hey, if you unlock this message, it's got the QR code to my Snapchat." But
And
there's no,
unlocking is paid.
yes, yeah, but there's no sort of like shop front or no like plug in, or I can't put a link to my Snapchat and then they pay for it or anything like that. So OnlyFans is a really great platform, but when you start innovating and adding other things, again, you have to do it within OnlyFans terms and conditions. But there's so much more avenues and way of monetizing things outside of OnlyFans itself.
I'm just like going off on so many tangents because I know we have like 10 minutes left. But for a company that does roughly 35 million per employee, it doesn't seem like they're very customer first on like who uses their platform. And I don't know what OnlyFans cut is. Like what's their cut of
They take
revenue?
20%.
For doing what?
Yeah, just for providing the platform, which isn't that
Because I
supportive
know
anyway.
you were telling me there's no search, right? So
Yeah,
as a creator, you're building your own search, you're building your own distribution. The only thing they do is manage accounts, maybe verify. I don't even think they do verify ID and payment. At which point, I can probably get that stuff set up myself, but dumbfounding me.
yes. So
That it's
I
so
think
underserved. But
a lot of people
for
say
doing
the same
6
thing.
billion a year, and that's
But
just OnlyFans, not even like the adult industry. But
yeah, the thing is that OnlyFans itself is like that brand word is so strong. Like I can say to you, I do OnlyFans instead of saying I do adult content. You know what OnlyFans is. It's like saying I need a Kleenex instead of I need a tissue. OnlyFans has become so, it just has the monopoly. So, although the platform isn't necessarily super supportive of creators, and there's all these other platforms that exist and up and coming new ones, which I think it'd be really cool in time to see a shift and everyone move over to a platform that's more supportive. However, OnlyFans just has the monopoly. That's where the subscribers are. And it's trusted. So, when you subscribe to OnlyFans, it's not some sort of like scheme or scam or anything
Or
like that.
selling your data to China, you never know.
Well,
But
yeah. It took off so quickly, and I mean the timing was perfect with COVID and everything. Where the industry will be in 5-10 years time, I think it will look very, very different. And I think it'll be really exciting to see how it
quick,
expands and evolves.
quick question. So I'll probably like we should probably find time to do another one and just dive into like the OnlyFans side of it, the monetization, doing that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, I've
I'd
got
love
so
to do
much more
that
to
whenever.
say. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we can break this up into a couple of episodes.
Yeah. So, whenever you want to do that, let me know. I just wanted to end the recording on this note of what are the top 5 tactics that you're helping creators implement as part of Million Billion Media from a marketing PR perspective and like publicity perspective. Because for someone starting out who has zero distribution on any social, you have to go build your own distribution and build a top, like what in tech we call top of funnel of like
Yeah.
people know about you and then they slowly convert over time. So what's your like top two, three, four, however many you want to cover? Like what are your top techniques, tactics, or recommendations to someone starting out who can sort of like, hey, here's what I should go do to start building the brand that will convert to OnlyFans at some point.
Like you mentioned before, there's no search functionality, there's no explore page or anything on OnlyFans. So the only way someone's going to subscribe to you is if they have your link. So social media is the best way for someone starting out to grow their audience. I think it's different for each subscriber. I think Reddit is extremely underestimated in this space. It does take time, but if you can spend 6 months dedicated to Reddit, that is going to set you up. Repurposing your content between Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook. There's platforms that
No
where you can put
TikTok?
TikTok. Yeah, TikTok is it's got great
No,
potential
you
for.
only said Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. So I was just asking, did you intentionally say no TikTok or like is that just
Oh, sorry, I
not
thought I
as
said TikTok. Yeah, and
oh, okay,
TikTok
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
TikTok has huge potential for virality, but don't get too attached to your TikTok because it's only a matter of time before it goes down. So, yeah, number one, social media, and do social media well. Do it consistently. Number two, my message would be pick your niche and double down on it. Don't look at what everyone else is doing. Don't look at all the trends or anything like that. I know girls who are, making 6 figures a month and all they do is, walk up and down their pool in their bikini, or they're in a car park in gym pants and their entire content is just them walking away from the camera so you can see their bum in gym pants. But that's what their audience expects. That's why they follow her. She's
Got
not
it.
looking about what other people are doing because she knows that's her audience. So finding a
If someone
niche
paid
and
me 100 grand a month, I would do that. But
yeah, yeah, right. But she's so clever to like not look what other people are doing. She's just realized what her audience is and she's
yeah, hundred
replicated
percent.
that over and over again. Number three, I think SEO is extremely undervalued in this space. So if I'm searching Californian blonde OnlyFans, you want to be showing up if that's your niche. When I was on OnlyFans, you could search, OnlyFans mum, OnlyFans Perth, which is the city I live in. I was always the top one that came up
Nice.
because I made sure all of my anything that could contribute to SEO, I made sure it was all very intentional. But I don't think a lot of people do that. So that's my third piece of advice. Number four is having again, this is kind of similar to the niche, but having a backstory, having some sort of personality. Girls out there who are really, really smart into tapping into like the gamer community,
Makes sense.
but yeah, but it's authentic. Like they can tell you about, I don't know, Minecraft or Fortnite or game of whatever. I don't know because that's not my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my ballpark. But there's girls there who, and then when you're having those genuine conversations, that's again, it's just human nature. Those people are more connected to you. They're going to stick around long term. They're going to spend more money. If gaming's not your thing, maybe you're into like basketball or fishing or something like that. But having a personality makes the subscriber on the other side be like, oh, this girl I can actually have a conversation with. She potentially could be my girlfriend one day. And it just strengthens those relationships. So you don't need to have 100,000 people following you. If you have 100 people and you have really strong relationships, you could potentially make more than people that have, a huge amount, but they're not going into depth with those subscribers. My last piece of advice, and I know it sounds a bit boring, but consistency. You can't come in and out of it and then expect to make money like everybody else does. And that was the big thing in my OnlyFans career. Once I committed to it and started treating it like a job, if I was tired, it didn't matter. Like if I was working in an office, I still have to go to work if I'm tired. So once you start treating it like a business, like I don't really want to be posting on TikTok 3 times a day, but I need to do it because it's my job. And having that consistency over time, it became easier and easier. And you learn hacks and how to make it easier, like batching content and things like that. Don't just post once or twice a week and then sit back and be like, oh, it's not fair. Why aren't I making any money? Nobody cares.
Makes
Work
sense.
harder.
Yeah. We'll do that after I stop the recording. Just quickly, where should people reach out? What do you want to plug? What can we link for you? How can we help promote your brand and company?
I love having conversations with people who have ideas or they have concepts and perhaps they just need help bringing it to life or they need the right contacts to access this space. So I would love it if people reached out to me on either LinkedIn, Lucy Banks, or on Instagram. My personal handle is I'm Lucy Banks. You're more than welcome to follow me there. Or Million Billion is Million Billion Media _. So
Underscore.
send me a
Nice.
message. If you're someone in this space and you want to grow, we can help you with things like PR, getting into the news, getting on podcasts. If I don't have the contact, I'll know someone who has the contact. So we
Nice.
make it happen within this space, and it's something you can see when I talk. Like I love the
Yeah.
people that I get to work with every day, and we've been in business for 18 months now. It's been such a roller coaster. It's been so much fun, and yeah, we're not going anywhere.
I like that. Well, I appreciate the time. I think this was an amazing conversation, and I have so many threads I'm gonna send you. Yeah, I think that was great.
Thank you so much.